Monday, August the 12th. We will call to order the regular school board meeting of the Madison Central School District. Mr. Brooks will record the members present or absent, and we have a full board this evening. So we have our quorum. The next, I'd invite all to please stand as we pledge allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have a few changes to the agenda. Mr. Jorgensen, do you want to bring those up to date for us?
Sure. Under resignation, add Shannon Gary, high school para. And then under hires, add Kim Seitz, part-time title instructor, $20,580. Also under hire, Laura Macheski, part-time title instructor, $20,580. And then a increase also of 20 cents per hour for classified staff completing and passing the PCM training.
Okay.
That was it.
All right. So we have those amendments to the agenda. With that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Mr. Miller has that. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Hanemichael. Questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Declare that the agenda is approved. On to our consent items, which are items 7 through 9. First is item number 7, the July 11th regular and annual meeting minutes, which were posted. Item number 8 were bills, and Mrs. Kaufman and Mr. Nelson and myself went through those. I don't think we saw anything. Our other financials are posted out there. And then that brings us on to item number 9, which is the personnel actions.
So for personnel actions, we had a resignation from Megan Shue, as a middle school teacher. And then also resignation from Shannon Gary, as I mentioned a few seconds ago, high school para resignation. And then we have a request to hire Matt Gross, high school declam, level 3, 11 years, $3,332. Bud Postma, varsity girls golf, that's a split position, level 3, 20 years, $1,666. Rob Graham, varsity girls tennis, level 3, 6 years, $3,223. Ashley Meddy, assistant varsity 9th girls basketball, level 1, 0 years, experience $3,114. And middle school volleyball, level 4, 2 years of experience, $1,718. Ross Huska, assistant varsity boys basketball, level 3, 12 years of experience, $3,332. Terry Weeman, assistant varsity gymnastics, level 3, 1 year, $3,114. Gina Fretz, assistant track and field, level 3, 1 year, $3,114. Tom Nielsen, assistant varsity football, level 3, 10 years, $3,332. Elizabeth Gores, cheerleader advisor for boys basketball and girls basketball, level 4, 4 years, $1,718 each. Mitchell Brooks, assistant varsity girls basketball, level 3, 6 years, $3,223. Mike Rickey, assistant varsity football, level 3, $3,332. And then Kim Seitz, part-time title instructor, $20,580. Laura Macheski, part-time title instructor, $20,580. And then, again, the 20 cents per hour for classified completing and passing the PCM training.
Okay. You can see with the request to hires on the activities, that's a result of our negotiations. We changed our extracurricular schedules to include the years of experience, which previously was a flat area, and now for each of the years are grouped into various year levels as a part of our negotiated agreement. And so this would, the contracts obviously reflected those, but our hires of people who was not on their contracts, that's what Mr. Jorgensen was talking about with the number of years. And that's the reason for that. So is there a motion for the consent items?
So moved.
Mrs. Schultz, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bundy. Further questions or discussion?
Before we vote, I should abstain.
You should abstain from that, yep. We'll note an abstention of Mr. Miller on this. Any further questions or discussion on the consent items? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the consent items in the agenda, items 7 through 9, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Declare that the consent items are approved. 10, anybody wishing to address the board? We'll go on to administrators report then, number 11.
The ASBSD and the SASD convention was held this last Thursday and Friday. We had a number of board members, I know, that attended as well. I didn't get the final number, but it was well over 500 registered, I believe, administrators and school board members that were there for the conference. Dr. Tom Osborne from Nebraska was a keynote in day 1, and Sean Cavell was a keynote in day 2. Sean Cavell was one of the producers of Napoleon Dynamite. And then Mr. Farrell was recognized and thanked for his services as the outgoing president of ASBSD. And there a lot of different people, a lot of positive comments on the conference that some years we maybe haven't had those positive comments. But it was,
Especially the one time with breakfast.
yeah, breakfast especially, but no. Conference overall, it sounded like the breakout sessions went well too, and I know board members got the different breakout sessions, so. New staff members then for the 2019-2020 school year. Nicole Troxel will be high school language arts and debate. Chad White will be middle school PE. CU boys basketball, middle school track. Some new coaching assignments. Danelle Kenniger will be head girls basketball. Megan Yankee will be 8th grade volleyball. Ashley Meddy will be C girls basketball. And then classified staff, some new classified staff. Jada Baltazar will be our ELL and instructional tutor. Danny Frisbee Griffin, high school aviation. Kim Bruns, sped para. Nina Maloney, sped para. Margaret Scott, elementary custodian. I mentioned Larry Scott. He was here actually at the end of the year, but new to some of the folks, so we'll introduce him at the in-service. Sheena Barrick, middle school custodian. So currently we have a second grade teaching position open, which we'll talk later about having a special board meeting, but I expect to have that filled here within 24 hours. And then a high school para position we'll still have open with the resignation that we just had. So that's our staffing moving into the next year. Project updates, middle school carpet's completed. I believe they're finishing the trim board, the baseboard today. I didn't get back down there. Elementary lighting, lunchroom, and gym area. Is the gym completed or not? Janelle? I know Ricky said they were almost, yeah, they were finishing today, he thought. K-12 phone system. Right now it's a 612 phone system. We're working on the K-5 yet, right,
Don't
Steve?
call me,
That's
I'll
right.
call you.
Right, Steve? So, the K-12 is currently a 612, but
So what'd you pay them for that, Janelle?
Tangibles.
work in progress, but it sounds like we're getting to the bottom of that.
We got some good information today, so.
We'll get that in place. Kitchen, freezer, and fridge replacements are nearing completion. It was the fridge that they had to take a valve or something out and do something different, but compared to what was there, it's quite an improvement. And then again, thanks to the great work of Mr. Hanson and his staff, because the facilities are looking really, really good as usual. They do a great job. Upcoming schedule. Tomorrow we have a new substitute meeting for new subs at 8 a.m. We have new staff, new certified staff meeting at 8:30. The 14th, and we have all staff on the 14th, 15th, 16th. And the following week, the 21st is open house. The 22nd is, first day of school. And then the 28th is the chamber education reception that goes on Wednesday the 28th. That starts at 5, and I think the program's about 5:45 is when that starts. I believe it's at the
Great
Playhouse this year. There'll be a lot of topics covered during the in-service between emergency management plan updates, mentoring NWDA, EpiPens, diabetes, Narcan administration. Principals will meet. I'll meet with staff, Education Foundation, the Regional Health's gonna have a presentation with them. Wellmark, our insurance will meet with them. Business office, Mitch gives them a rundown, so a lot of things will take place in the next few days. And then our summer lunch program and vehicle mileage, I think Mr. Brooks is gonna get a quick update on those items.
Or just quick information, just so you kind of see how I finish up with our summer program this year. We served 3,073 meals. This was actually 27 meals above last year, with 4 less days. So not much change, but a little bit of a change. We averaged 71.5 children per day. And I thought I'd report on just kind of our vehicle mileages. With our automobiles, our non-bus, we have 10 of them. We put on 95,854 miles last year from July to June. That's actually 23,000 miles down from the prior year, which that year was maybe like 10 above from the year before.
Because we had snow days.
And then with our buses, we have 11 buses. We did 119,897 miles. That was slightly down, about 8,000 from the year before. Of those, just for curiosity, the routes, it's not exact science, but the buses that run routes put on 67,500 miles, and activities put on about 52,360 miles. Just kind of interesting to see how far and how our buses go.
At the convention, there was someone else who was honored as the superintendent of the year. He failed to mention that. And he also was recognized as being the past president of the school administrators. So congratulations and thanks on that, Mr. Jorgensen. One question, and as I was listening this morning to the Department of Labor on the radio, we still have our weekend custodian open, is that? Okay, I heard that advertisement this morning. Okay, so they're working on it for us. Anything else in terms of reports, board members on the convention?
Interest, for example.
He is
I thought
retired.
maybe you had interest, but.
I was just gonna say, Tom, it was really nice to see at the convention, Madison being represented very well up on stage there. I mean, I think that speaks a lot to our leaders here.
It isn't gonna happen
Thank
again.
you.
At least from my perspective.
So thank you.
Well, thank you. It was a very good year, and it's good to be involved at that level and things, and I will continue to serve as past president, and in fact, Thursday morning, I head to Chicago for NSBA leadership meetings, so, on there, and middle of September, we have our Western Region meeting out in Colorado, so.
I'll give a quick update if that's okay.
Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to touch base. I haven't been to the board meeting in quite a while, so I thought I'd update you as we're getting ready to kick off.
We noticed.
Low profile, my friend. Some of the course additions this year coming into the high school, Mr. Jorgensen mentioned aviation. We're actually gonna put, it's a flight ground school, aviation course in through the FAA. Danny Frisbee Griffin will teach that. He's a certified pilot with the Air Force, so he's got plenty of background. We put in an intro to public law in the second semester. We put in intro to health sciences and also medical terminology. So that's all gonna help with our health science cluster, and I'll get to that in a minute. DSU is actually gonna come to campus this year, teach Math 102 in the fall and spring, and then also speech in the spring for us.
Wow.
So in doing that, we had to realign our high school schedule, and this was kind of brewing all year last year, but we're gonna set our block days. So like Mondays and Wednesdays will be set days, and Tuesdays and Thursdays will be set days. And then Friday, we're gonna run a 7-period day with the kids. So that if we end up running into this snow day mess we had this past year, we actually can take the full block day and replace it on the Friday, so we don't lose the block. It got to be kind of a mess resetting the schedule every week, so this way we wouldn't have to reset the schedule, we'll just move the day. So that'll be kind of a nice change. We'll see, we're gonna give it a run and see how it goes. I've spent a lot of my summer working with Southeast Tech, developing and aligning some concurrent enrollment coursework. Our faculty can actually teach some of their concurrent work, so we can get the kids that are tracking into the tech schools credits ahead. We can knock out their communications classes, their social science classes. We're gonna replace the back half of our transition algebra with actual technical math, so they can get their technical math credit before they leave us. In the same time, we're working on developing an LPN program where we can start their junior year, which ties into the health sciences terminologies. And by the time they graduate from us, they'll have 1 semester and they'll be licensed LPNs because they'll have to do their clinicals. So lots of stuff going on and behind the scenes there. I got an email this morning from the state. They're gonna do what's called See It in Action Days, the state CTE office. They picked 3 schools in the state of South Dakota, say they're coming to us January 8th. So they'll invite school administrators, other people that were looking for ways to develop business partnerships and get their kids out into the public, etc. So they're gonna come and spend the whole day with us, do some touring of not only the school, but the business partnerships that we've developed, etc. I do want to make sure we congratulate Lori Christensen. She was nominated president-elect of the SDACT board. Christy Olson is also now on the division board as the business representative, and then I'm on the board as well. So out of the 8 positions in the public schools, we have 3 of the 8, so which is good.
I asked him to find 2 more, because he's got a majority.
And then in the summer of 2021, we'll actually host the state CTE conference. So that'll bring about 300 plus educators to the community for 4 days. So,
Got hotel space for that?
no, well, you're gonna have to get hotel space for that. So that's kind of in a nutshell. Pretty busy trying to get things up and going, but trying to get some more opportunity aligned for our kids. Not only dual credit, but also the concurrent tech credit as well.
Dawn or Paul, anything you guys want to say? Okay. Anything else for reports? Hearing none, then we move on to item number 12. Consider approval of open enrollment applications 20-9 through 20-19.
It's 11 open enrollments, 3 high school, 3 middle school, and 5 elementary, and we would recommend approval of those students.
So we have recommendation from the administration to approve open enrollment applications 20-9 through 20-19. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Mr. Hanemichael makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And Mr. Miller, further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of open enrollment 20-9 through 20-19, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Declare that passed. Item number 13 is to review Madison High School handbook and Madison Elementary handbook changes.
Do I go first? Or me go first? Oh,
You were listed first.
thanks.
Steve's got it up there. Yeah.
I sent a change sheet along with this. Did that end up on there, Steve?
I think it's just, well, it says school board updates,
Okay.
or,
I think it's just this one, I think.
Okay. So in the beginning, page 5, I updated just some standard things that we update every year: schedules, semester changes, district calendar. So standard. Page 16, Steve, you want to jump there
Mhm.
first? Or, actually, let me go. Can I go back, Steve?
we're back
Go
to,
item 12. I'm not sure what page was that, or is that on page 12?
you talking about like 12 right here?
No, keep going down, go to page. Mr. Farrell had called us, or sent an email this
Other
morning.
directions.
Oh,
Hold on, I'll get on page. On dual credit in the handbook, it's page 12, number 16. Right here, where it says seniors may be eligible to receive dual credit. Back, before we added our history 151 and 152, the only class that the seniors could legitimately take in-house was Bio 101. But now we've opened up History 151 and 152 for our juniors on top of all the other concurrent enrollment. So I just added the word juniors and seniors may be eligible to receive dual credit in there. So, any questions on that? That's just more of a technicality. And then on page 15, item 15, I added, actually it's on page 16 at the top, I changed the terminology to school messenger, and then I put also school closing information is pushed through the Aptogee app. It's just more, where it says school reach, I changed it to school messenger, and then I added the app on the end of it. Now you can go to number 19. Which
So they're not on here, but we'll update them.
it's updated on here. In here, I added smartwatches or any other smart device. We are running into some issues where kids are passing answers through their smartwatches. So if a faculty wants to give an assessment, we want them to just take the smartwatches off, just so we have a true valid assessment. And then what we did with the cell phones, because it becomes such a management nightmare when you hit the third offense, we went back and put second and subsequent offenses. We take the phone, they turn it into us for 5 days and collect it at the end of the day. I don't want the phones in our possession overnight, especially during the winter if kids are traveling, etc. So they turn it into us, we give it back to them at the end of the day. And that's worked just fine. If we end up with more than three offenses, we usually get the parents involved if we have habitual offenders, which isn't very rare, or is very rare. We don't get them past 3 or 4 offenses, and so usually we get the parents involved if it gets to be too much. Next page, Steve. Student conduct and discipline. We've gone back and forth on this. If you go down one more a little bit, one more right there. We've gone back and forth on this, and I've met with the kids a little bit. When our kids get themselves into trouble, sometimes they'll end up in in-school suspension, sometimes they'll end up on out-of-school suspension. In-school suspension, they can receive a maximum of 75% of their grade. When they're out of school, it was set at 50, and we had a few kids that did not recover from that. They got themselves into some trouble on some things and ended up failing coursework and ended up behind. So then if we bump it to 67, it gives them a little more flexibility. It's still not passing, but it's the highest failing grade they can get. So if you take 100 and the 67 and average it, it's about an 83. If you take 100 and a 50 and average, you're still at 50%. So we're trying to work with the kids, not to double penalize them, but yet also hold them accountable, is what we're doing. Questions?
The idea of OSS is not to have them not come back and still be able to pass that class. It's to have a consequence, but then give the opportunity still to complete that course.
Okay. What was the next one? Yep, and we added the word minimum, so what it does is it provides us a little bit of flexibility when working with the kids. We've given them a warning and told them not to do it again. I'll give you a minimum of an hour. It just provides us administratively a little bit more flexibility to working with the kids. I added in, when it hit to the 4th violation here on disruptive conduct, it just said removal from the class. Well, there needs to be a penalty. If we get to the 4th time, there's obviously an issue. You need some discipline, plus we're going to take you out of that class. So we had just a minimum in there. Same thing, here was, we added minimum. There isn't a formal dependency assessment provided in the community anymore. That is gone with all the justice reform and things like that. It's not an available service to our kids. So the rest of them was just minimum. Okay. That's minimum. Added the word minimum. A lot of them. Keep going.
More than a minimum of minimums.
Here we just struck out the bus pickup area. There is no bus pickup area in the back because it's way out in the back on 11th when they pick them up for the athletic events. And then we don't have a bus garage in our backyard anymore, so it's actually across the road, so we struck that out. Go ahead. We don't utilize pride periods. We actually have them in their set study halls, which is their pride instructor, but we don't have pride periods. Go ahead. Here we added must be in attendance by 9 a.m. on the day of an event or activity. Before it just said must attend school. So what we were doing is we were having kids show up at 12:30 or 12:45 after lunch. Well, if we're leaving at 1:30, they're here for 45 minutes getting on a bus and leaving. So we're just making them come to school by 9 o'clock. I think it's important that they're in school all day. And then we put a, it leaves, we have the final determination. What happens if one of the kids goes in the ditch on the way to school? That's really somewhat out of their control, so we have that flexibility to work with it if something happens. Okay. What we did with our unexcused absences is we mirrored the ISS and the OSS percentages, is what we did. Okay. And then this is the same as it was, must be in school by 9 o'clock in the morning. I just took that piece and added it in the attendance piece and our eligibility. And the last thing we added was nicotine delivery device under National Honor Society, tied to your jewels and vapes.
Any questions or anything, Dan?
Wonder he hasn't been at the school board meetings, he's been going through the handbook.
Needed a good overhaul.
A minimum of things.
Minimum of many things.
Thank you for your work on that,
Yeah,
Mr. Shaw.
yeah, Mr. Ricky was pretty instrumental in that as well. It gave him a year to kind of get his feet wet and figure out what works and what doesn't.
Well, then I guess we have the elementary one. There's nobody else to go ahead of you.
Well, I was gonna tell you about our pre-aviation program on the playground, but
You're teaching him to jump off the top slide.
that's right. Wow. So, one change throughout, and I noticed, Peggy has it correct in one spot, and I probably missed an update in another. This school day for the elementary now, because the bus routes run, they begin at the elementary and end at the middle school, high school instead of the reverse. So the start day is 8:05, the end time is 3:05 throughout. And then I will just hit there's no significant changes in the handbook. I point out on page 12, I did add the addition of nicotine delivery device to be in line with school board policy and the handbooks in the middle school and high school. The addition of the app as a communication tool throughout as the district. On page, would be 13. I'd like to take a moment to point this out. That is the diagram of the elementary school with the bus pickup in the north or the south side of the building. We just like people to understand that for the safety of their own kids, buses drop off on the front and there's a car line in the back. And the greater detail and the more safely they pass through that, the safer their kids are throughout the school year. So I've added map to the handbook to say anyone can see it anytime they would like. You'll also see it in listserv. We've now completed in the elementary to be a one-to-one Chromebook school throughout. We're adding supports for literacy and language arts with the use of those Chromebooks through IXL and a few other programs. I'd like to point out on page 17, the homeless students section is a district-wide service that we provide. I am the homeless liaison for the district and the homeless notifications will go out, but if any citizen in the Madison area recognizes that a child or a family may be homeless, they should contact me at any time so we can pass services along to those students and families. I'd reiterate that on page 18. Shots before school, state law. And then the back of the handbook, I would point out, meeting the Title I requirements at the local, state, and federal levels is the parent notification and our district advisory council information. And then you'll also see the addition of the Title IX and the SIPA information for students and families. That would put us in line with school board policy.
And you said 305, right, for dismissal?
305.
So we'll have to get those corrected in here. There's a few spots that says it's 302.
Yeah, and I know Peggy corrected those, so, but I'll double check that again.
I guess the only other one that I noticed is you said 8 AM was when you wanted students, if you're starting at 8:05, does that need to be moved in the early going?
We discussed that, many of our students, they can come as early as 7:30
Right, but then there was a statement in there
on
earlier,
page 2.
yeah, that talked about 8 AM
I see.
with the 8:05 start.
We can definitely back that up to 7:55.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you wanted to make that minor change. It's on page 4. Arrival and dismissal. Anything else? Well, thank you. On to item number 14, second readings of policies. I'm just not gonna read all those letters because Joel's gonna do that.
DFE, gate receipts and admission participation fees. It's up there to see the big change was 3 and 5. Double headers, and we'll also now include college and technical students as part of that with valid ID. Season passes offered at family rates 110, that was down from 130. Adult used to be 70, we listed 60, and student used to be 50, and we set it at 30. It talks about the family rate shall apply to anybody who's in the household, including also children in college or technical school.
Do we want to approve each policy separately, or do we want to do them collectively? Pleasure of the board.
I would prefer collective.
Okay, we'll deal with them all collectively then.
Then we have DFEA, free admissions, and basically this combined DFEA and then DFEA-R together into one. It's the same information in both, it's just now in one policy that if you're 62, you can pick up a complimentary pass. And still, if it's a sanctioned event with activity association, for example, a playoff or regions or whatever, obviously then it doesn't qualify, you still have to pay the admissions for those events. So DFEA and DFEA-R really haven't changed, other than the fact they're all in one policy now. Into BDC, executive session, and basically all the change in here is it adds item number 6 now, which there was no item number 6 prior, but now with the law change of July 1, and basically with item 6, when it refers to subdivisions 127, 1.5, section 8, and 127, 1.517, it's basically going into the ability to talk about your emergency management plans and so on in executive session, whereas before you couldn't, but it really wasn't a public document either. So basically, it's just all this does is mirror state law. Any questions on that?
Recommendation would be to approve these policies. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Mrs. Schultz has it. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Kappen. Further discussion? All in favor of approval of DFE, DFEA, and deletion of DFEAR, and approval of BDC, executive session, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Declare that those policies are now in effect. Item number 15, approval of agreement with Madison Regional Health System for therapy services and professional nursing services.
So contracts that are annual with the community hospital. The therapy services, the rates are remaining the same as last year, so they're the same this year. The only change was on the nursing services. Last year they were $39.75 per hour. This year they'd be $40.95 per hour. That's a 3% increase on there. Otherwise, all boarding services are remaining the same as in prior years.
And that was within the limits of what we had anticipated on the nursing services when we dealt with it a year ago. So recommendation would be to approve those agreements with Madison Regional Health. Do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Mr. Hanamichael, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bundy. Further questions and or discussion? All in favor of approval of those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Declare they have passed. Providing student-free student meals, August 22nd through the 30th.
And so with this, with meals purchased, there's a local parents pay component, and then there's also the federal side. If our cash balances grow in the food service program, then we'll lose our federal side to that. So this is a way in which we could provide the meals, not lose our federal dollars, and then save our local families the money. 7 days, breakfast and lunches, would come out to be about $19,132, well, about $19,000 savings for our families. Other areas that this helps us with, when new families show up, that paperwork's not necessarily always in right away, then there's not the question of, if they need application or not for free or reduced meals. Helps families kind of get started, make sure they bring their funds in.
So recommendation is free student meals from the 22nd through the 30th. Is there a motion to that effect? Mr. Miller, is there a second? Second by Ms. Kaufman. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of student-free meals, 22nd to the 30th, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Declare that motion is passed. We have an agreement for curriculum and staff development services.
So this is our annual agreement with Diane Tyler. It's a 42-day contract. The amounts were $17,400. It was the same percent increase as our administrative contracts, which was 2.1% on that. So our recommendation would be to approve contract with Diane Tyler for curriculum and services.
So recommendation is approval of the curriculum and staff development services contract. Is there a motion to that effect? Mr. Hanamichael, second.
Second.
Mrs. Schultz. Further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Probably we need to talk about a special meeting.
Yeah, I expect to have a contract in place tomorrow, but we'll need notification of hours. So I was looking at Wednesday morning or Wednesday at noon, if one of those times would work. Maybe like the early morning, if you have in-service on Wednesday, that's why I said either like 7:45 or noon, if those times would work. If not, we can go later that day as well.
Preferences, anybody? Be about a 5-minute meeting?
I like 7:45.
Take you longer to drive than conduct the business?
7:45 works for me.
Okay, 7:45 on Wednesday.
We'll get that in place 7:45 a.m. Wednesday.
So we got posted
Yeah.
night, or tomorrow, or something like that.
So, yeah, we should just.
Do we meet here?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll meet here. Gee, if they wanted, they could stay for breakfast then, couldn't they?
Should let Darlene know.
Whoops. All right, so we'll have that special meeting on Wednesday morning, 7:45. Probably within the next about 10 days, I'll be sending out our information on our planning information. We'll get that off and rolling, and we've got that coming up in September, so that'll be here before we know it. With that, item number 18. Mr. Nelson, do you have any action you'd like to take on 18?
Well, I don't know, I want to talk about, but no. Yeah, I'll move, so move. Move to
Mr.
adjourn.
Nelson moves that we adjourn. Is there a second? Okay, I'm afraid Steve's gonna die for lack of a second. Mrs. Kaplan has the second. Undebatable, all in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, can stay here. Thank you very much.